Hello and welcome. My name is Kimberly Grief, creator of Evolve Yoga, where tradition meets modern movement science. I'm coming to you from the safety and the warmth of my home and practice space. I hope to be connecting to you in the safety and the warmth and the wellness of wherever you're unrolling your mat today. Today's practice is themed around gratitude. And the physical asana practice will take us on a journey from connecting to our hands, to our hearts, and opening through the front of the body and the chest, all the way through the hips. The HeartMath Institute has done research on the electromagnetic field of our hearts. And what they've found is that electromagnetic field that our heart produces radiates out to about 5 feet off of our body. So if you reach your arms out right now, you sweep your arms in front of you and up and overhead, cascade them down to the sides of your body, turning in all directions. That's about your size of your electromagnetic field. And what the HeartMath Institute has discovered is that when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, when we're in times of uncertainty or self-doubt, that electromagnetic field gets fragmented and a little discombobulated. Alternatively, when we have hearts full of gratitude, or we're able to find and extract things that we're grateful for in any given moment, that smooths out the electromagnetic field. And so anybody who's in your peripersonal space, we have the power to influence their electromagnetic field in a really positive way. I have a theory about group yoga classes, especially when you're practicing super close to the people around you. There's something really magical that happens throughout the journey of this group practice. By the end, everybody seems to come up and be in a far more reflective, connected, and grateful state. We can recreate that for ourselves in our home practice. And then we can think of that radiating out to affect the people around us. One of my favorite quotes is by Melody Beattie. She says, "Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow." Take a moment, bring one hand to your chest, and then let your other hand come on top of that. Gently press your 2 hands into one another and let them rest their heaviness upon your heart. Close your eyes if it's comfortable for you, and bring your attention to the warmth radiating from your palms to your chest. And bring to mind an element of your life that you might find you're grateful for. It might be the time that you're carving out for yourself to practice. It might be the roof over your head, or the breath in your body. You might bring to mind the people in your life that you're grateful for. I know right now I'm grateful for the powers of technology that make it possible for me to practice with you today. And opening your eyes. When we're in utero, developing, our arm buds and our hands spiral out of our heart and lung tissue. In that way, our hands can be this connection to our hearts. So let's begin our practice with waking up and connecting to our hands. Bring your arms out in front of you with your fingertips facing the wall in front of you. Deviate your wrists out to the side, pointing your pinkies towards your elbows, keeping your palms parallel to the floor. Turn your fingertips inward and then outward again. Inward and outward. The next time you come in, spread out through your fingers and curl your fingers into your palm one at a time, starting with your pinkies. Drawing your pinkies, ring, middle, pointer finger, thumbs come to the outside. Now curl your wrists towards the floor as you also roll them in. Scoop your thumbs out and draw them up towards the sky. Flare your fingers up towards the ceiling, magnetizing your fingernails back towards your face. Press the heel of your hand forward and sit up tall. Keep that magnetized sensation of your fingers coming back towards your face. Open your arms out to the sides of the room. Press the palms away from your midline. Spread out vibrantly through your fingers. Let's do that rolling of your fingers into your palms once again. Rolling your pinky, your ring, your middle, your pointer, your thumb curls to the outside. Tip your wrists towards the floor, curling your knuckles towards the mat. Inhale, imagine your breath traveling down your arms, across your forearms. And as you exhale, attempt to curl your wrists in a little bit further. Take your hands down to the mat in front of you, fingertips facing your body. Allow the heel of your hand to drift towards the mat, anchoring into your palms. Bow your head in reverence, and once again connecting to something or someone in your life that you're grateful for. One of my go-to pieces for gratitude is nature. I'm getting my daily dose of nature. And I find that I can always foster gratitude for the Big Mother. Peel the heel of your hand up off the mat, and we'll go through that entire sequence again. But first, take your hands palm face up on your thighs. Just take a moment to connect to the aliveness, the river of aliveness running down your arms, through your forearms, and into the palms of your hands. Let's go through these forearm flares again. Reach your arms forward, fingertips facing the wall in front of you. Deviate your hands out and in, out and in. One more time. Spread out through your fingers. Start with your pinky, your ring, your middle, your pointer finger. Your thumb curls to the outside. Curl your wrists down and they're pointing at a diagonal towards the midline. Scoop your thumbs out and up. Reach your fingers away from one another. It's your peripersonal space, that 5 feet off of your body, or maybe half of that, right? 5 feet in either direction. Reach your arms out to the sides of the room. Magnetize your fingers back towards your face. reaching the heels of your hands away from the midline. This is probably more like 5 feet of space there. Okay, here we go. Second wrist stretch. Take a deep breath in, curling your pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb curls to the outside. Curl your wrists towards the floor. Inhale, wash your breath down your arms, across your forearms. And as you exhale, draw your knuckles a little bit closer towards the floor and your body. Release that. Take your fingertips to the mat, heel of the hand down towards the floor. Bow your head towards your heart. And once again, connecting to that source of gratitude. And peel the heel of the hand up off the mat, lifting your fingers. And now that your hands are a little bit more alive and awake, let's take that to the front wall of your neck. Bring your 2 hands over to the right side of your neck, this front right side of your neck. You'll turn your head over to the left, and as you pull down with your hands, tilt your chin up towards the sky, and then jut your lower jaw forward for a platysma stretch. So as you create this underbite, you get to stretch the whole right side of your neck. Slowly release that. Come back to center. Super hard to talk doing that underbite. So I'm just going to go through the makeup for this next one and then stop talking. So take your hands over to the left side of your neck. Turn your head to the right. Tilt your chin up and jut your lower jaw forward. Good. Coming back to center. You might have felt that stretch all the way up into your jaw. Bring your hands to your shoulders for shoulder circles. Draw your elbows towards the midline, reach them up towards the sky, and like you're creating large circles to the sides of you, begin to circumduct your shoulders. Now, with your hands on your shoulders, you might feel all sorts of interesting little clicks and pops. Your shoulders are close to your ears, so you might not only feel it, but you might also hear it. Go ahead and reverse. You might feel a difference between the 2 sides of your shoulders. Okay, next you'll need your strap. So grab your strap for shoulder flossing. You can use a towel if you don't have a strap. A broomstick also works really well if you'd like to use a harder surface. I like to double my strap up so that I don't hit myself with the little buckle here. But you do whatever you need to make your shoulder flossing work for you. You're gonna reach your arms out in front of you and then up towards the sky. From here, knit your ribs towards your pelvis as you bring your strap behind you. Reach your strap back up and overhead and to the starting position. So that was a little bit wide for me. I'm gonna come in a little bit. You might have to take your grip a little wider or a little further in. But as you go back and forth, you just want to make sure that you can get a smooth cadence or rhythm through this. In other words, if you get into this and you find that you have to like seesaw your strap and your arms behind you, you may want to swap this canvas strap out for a TheraBand or take a wider stance with your hands. And the next time you bring your arms up and over, we'll go almost like in a Y shape. I want you to imagine that you could pull your strap in too, and then slowly bring it behind your head as your elbows make a W shape. Push the strap back up towards the ceiling, and we'll do that again. Drawing your arms down, the strap goes behind your head, your elbows come in towards your ribs. Push the strap away from you once again. Again, bending your elbows down towards the floor. Pushing the strap away from you. Let's go into shoulder flossing part 2. Internally rotate your right arm, bring it back behind you as you reach your left arm up towards the sky. Again, knit your ribs down towards your pelvis so you're not thrusting your ribs forward to do this move. Return to that capital Y shape we started with. Internally rotate your left arm, reach your right arm up towards the sky, and then return back to that capital Y shape. Good. One more time on each side. Internally rotating your right arm, reaching it towards the wall behind you and back, pushing up through the left arm, coming back to center. Internally rotating your left arm, reaching your right arm up towards the sky, pushing through your right arm. Good. Come back to that Y shape. We'll go right into this next move. Bend your elbows towards the floor, bring the strap behind you, and then pushing away. 2 more just like that. Good, bring your strap down. And for this next move, you'll take your strap and lasso it over your right shoulder, like you'd wear a book bag or a shoulder strap here. Take the 2 tails of the strap and grab them with your left hand. So my left arm's going behind my back and holding on to the 2 tails of the strap. Pull down on the strap and let your right arm reach out to the right, relaxing your left ear towards your shoulder. So we just have this little downward traction with the strap on our shoulder. Continue to spiral your right arm into external rotation so your palm is facing the ceiling. Good. Rise back up. Take your strap, lasso it over your left shoulder. Take the 2 tails of your strap behind you. Reach your right arm back, so that's an internal rotation to grab the strap there. And then it's pulling down. From here, relax your right ear towards your right shoulder and reach your left arm out away from your left shoulder. You're pulling the strap down your back. Continuing to spiral your left arm into external rotation. Good. Rise back up. Set your strap aside. Come off your block if you're sitting on one. And bring your hands behind you. Pressing your feet down onto the floor, your fingertips will face your seat. And as you lean back, your heel of your hand might come down to the floor. It might not. Let's see how that goes for you. And then without letting your ribs thrust up towards the sky, you're going to knit your ribs down towards your pelvis. From here, bend your elbows towards the back of your mat. Knit your ribs a little bit deeper and squeeze your elbows towards the midline. Press your palms back up or your elbows straighten. You're pressing the palms into the floor. And then re-bend your elbows towards the mat, coming right back up. Cross your legs and sit up into Sukhasana, turning your hands palm face up, closing your eyes, bringing your attention to your arms, your forearms, and your hands. Return your hands to the mat, but this time your fingertips will face the back of the mat. And you can walk your hands towards one another like your pinkies could touch. Most of us have been sitting at our computers in less than optimal ways, trying to work from home. Shoulders can round forward. It can be really common to get some kind of interesting postural habits going. Return your feet flat to the floor. And depending on how tight you are in your arms, your chest, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, this next move may or may not be in the cards for you. But if it is, you'll lift your hips up, scoot them forward, and then walk your feet forward. So this passive shoulder extension is what we're going for. You can rock onto your right hand and then your left hand. And just kind of sensing whatever it is you sense there in your arms. After a few moments of being here, you might be able to lift your hips, scoot your hips forward, and then settle into that by rocking from side to side. If you find that you get into this too deeply and it doesn't work for you, simply walk your feet in towards your seat, move your hips back, and walk your hands a little further apart. Sometimes we have to regress before we can progress. So give yourself the space and grace to move in and out of these poses in a way that honors you. Walk your hands in towards your seat, cross your legs, and turn your hands palm face up on your thighs. Allowing the rush of circulation to run down your arms and into your hands. You'll need your 2 blocks for the next move. Take your block underneath your head. Your second block will go between your knees. Lay down on your left side and prop your block up between your knees. Your head can come down onto your block, and scoot your block back enough so that it creates a little runway for your head to roll without rolling off your block. Now, it's really common for us to lay down on the sides of our bodies and collapse into our rib cage. You can see how my hip and my ribs just got closer together. In order to do this next move, we're going to create some space in our core. Call this core bracing and spacing. So lifting the side of your waist away from the floor. I like to think if I had a little matchbox car, I could run that matchbox car into the little tunnel on the side of my waist. That requires me to stack my shoulders and stack my hips, keeping the hips away from the ribs. Match your 2 hands there, your palms will touch. Rainbow your top arm up and overhead. Your gaze goes towards the sky. Make sure you didn't collapse your ribs down towards the floor. And then close your arms like you're closing a book. We've got 4 more of those. Rainbow your top arm up and overhead. Gaze rotates towards the sky. Close your arms like a book. 3 more. Keep the integrity of your core. So as you rainbow your arm up and over, you're really not letting your waist collapse down towards the mat. Good, second side. Match your 2 hands, find that little tunnel under the side of your waist. Rainbow your arm up and over. Close it like a book. 4 more. Make sure that your ankles aren't collapsing down on top of one another. Move the blocks out from between your leg and underneath your head, and let's set up for bridge. So from here, plant your 2 feet flat on the floor. Your fingertips come down in the direction of your feet, but you don't have to walk your feet in to touch your heels. In fact, think of your feet more underneath your knees or even a little forward of that position. We'll move with our breath for these bridge lifts. Inhale, reach your hips up. Reach your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, bring your arms down alongside your body, your hips down. Next inhale, waving everything up. Exhaling back down. Keep going with this. As you bridge your pelvis up, think of one long line from the knees to the hips to the shoulders. You might find you have to curl your pubic bone towards your navel a little bit more at the top of that bridge to keep your ribs from thrusting. Let's add in Uddiyana Bandha. And this is a diaphragmatic vacuum seal in which the belly pulls up underneath the ribs. I'll cue it with the breath and with some arm movements. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Keep your arms overhead. Exhale all your breath out. Get completely empty. Without breathing in, relax your belly as you descend your hips back down towards the floor. Release your belly, return your hands down by your sides. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift your hips, reach your arms overhead. Powerful exhale, get totally empty. Relax your core. As you hold your breath out, lower your hips back down towards the floor. Last one. Straighten your legs to the front of your mat. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Close your eyes and take a moment to connect to the warmth of your hands. Once again, calling to mind something or someone in your life that you're grateful for. And oftentimes in my yoga practice, it becomes really apparent just how grateful I am for my body, for my breath, for all the little systems and cells orchestrating and dancing beautifully to give me this life. Bend your knees, take your feet flat to the floor, and drift your knees to one side, rolling onto your belly for a locust variation. Bring your forehead down to the mat. Your palms face down onto the floor. Point your toes towards the back of your mat. Then press your palms into the floor and lift your head lift your chest. In this shape, you're pressing your palms down to help squeeze your shoulders onto your back. Continue pointing your feet towards the wall behind you. Lower your feet down, lower your head down. Rock up onto your hands and knees for puppy dog pose. Now in this shape, walk your hands forward. Your hips stay right over your heels. And your forehead can come down to the mat, or you can take a block underneath your forehead. It's up to you. In puppy dog pose, you're attempting to keep your palms pressing down into the floor strongly. Your back stays quite long here. And so instead of trying to round or set your hips back towards your heels in child's pose, you're staying more in an upright position. Now press your two palms down into the mat strongly. And most of you are going to feel this activate underneath your arms, connecting to the palms on the floor. Good. Make your way back upright. And we'll go into a launching lunge mini Vinny. So for this, you'll need a block. And you'll stand up in what I call launching lunge. Your back toes are curled under, so I've got my left foot forward, my right toes curled under. I'm going to bring the block forward and think of one long line from your block all the way down to that back heel. This is our starting position. Then we'll go into a monk lunge, bending your back knee, passing the block behind you, and trying to straighten your arms and the block towards the wall behind you, keeping your head right on top of your shoulders. This is the second position. The block comes into the left hand, and you come into your launching lunge, pass the block into the right hand, coming into your monk lunge. Got 3 more in this direction, rotating the block from the right hand to the left. Then we switch directions. Now you'll pass the block from the right hand to the left, you're in the launch, and back into the monk lunge and behind you. Total of 5 in this direction. Take your block, pin and spin yourself around to the other side. Now your right leg is forward, your left leg is back. Pitch yourself forward so that your nose is right over your toes. In this launching lunge, you want your hip tacking back so that when you're in this shape, you're not bumping your hip out to the side or trying to set your back foot down. So it's not a warrior 1. It's more of this upright position where your 2 hips are square to the front of your mat and you're trying to pull this front hip back. Should be a lot of work in this outer glute. Okay, second round, second side. Bring your block forward, find your launching lunge. Tacking your right hip back. Pass the block into the left hand, come into your monk lunge, reach your block back. Block comes into the right hand and you're back in your launching lunge. 4 more in this direction. And then 5 in the other direction. Left hand brings the block to the right, Good. Bring your block down to the floor. Step back to plank. Slide that out of the way. Lower all the way down to the floor. Reach your right arm straight out from your right shoulder. Plant your left palm underneath your left shoulder and roll onto your right side. You can bend into your top knee, bringing your foot flat to the floor. If that doesn't work for you, you can bend both knees, bringing them in towards your chest. Press your right palm down into the mat. Press your left palm down into the mat, pulling your left shoulder in towards your chest. Roll onto your belly, straightening your legs. Make a fist with your left hand and place your forehead down on that fist. Reach back, grab a hold of your right foot with your right hand and pull your heel towards your seat. Send your right knee towards the back of your mat. Now this is a passive stretch. In a moment, we're going to make it active. So curl your left toes under and straighten your left knee. Keep your right heel pulling in towards your butt, but now you're going to let it go. Both hands to the floor. Try to close the gap between your heel and your butt. And then anchor your pubic bone down, your two frontal hip points, and lift your knee off the mat. Slowly dorsiflex your ankle, so you're pointing your toes towards the wall behind you, your heel towards the sky, and slowly straighten your right leg. This ought to be a lot of work in your hamstrings and your glutes, not a lot of work in your lower back. Once you've yawned your back knee open, squeeze the pubic bone towards the floor and try to lift your leg from your glutes and your hamstring. Set it down and let's switch sides. Chest opener on the floor first. Bring your left hand to the floor, your right hand underneath your shoulder, and roll onto your side. You can bend into your knee, bringing your foot flat to the floor. You can also bend both knees in towards your chest. Press your left hand into the floor, spreading out through your fingers. So the arm that's in the chest opener is staying active. Press your right palm down into the floor, retracting your right shoulder blade. So that arm is staying active. Release the pose, straightening your legs towards the back of your mat. Making a fist with your right hand, letting your forehead come down onto that. Reach your left hand back and pull your heel in towards your seat. So remember, this is a passive pose to start with. You're reaching your left knee towards the back of your mat, keeping your knee from winging out to the side. Let's make this a little more active. Curl your right toes under and straighten your right leg. It's going to activate your glutes on the right side. Anchor your pubic bone down into the floor. Squeeze your heel towards your butt and return your other hand down towards the floor. Don't be surprised if you get some cramping in your hamstring. Point your left toes towards the wall behind you. Lift your heel towards the sky, keeping your left hip bone down, and slowly yawn your back leg open. You'll feel your hamstring both contract and elongate at the same time.
For some of you, that's going to be a new sensation, and for others, you're going to go straight to cramp town with that. Once your back leg is straight, point your toes and attempt to lift your leg a little higher. Just giving you a clear picture of what your hip extension is. Good, set your leg down. Then pressing yourself up onto your hands and knees, step your left foot forward. Okay, this will set you up for a monk lunge. Bring your two hands in front of you. Your back knee is directly underneath your back hip. Rainbow your left arm open as you rotate to open in the same direction as your front leg. We'll go back up and over the way we came. Left arm rainbows up and over, opening your arms, attempting to rotate towards this left side, and closing again. 3 more. I like to imagine that there's headlights on my hip bones and the beams are going forward. This next one will rotate and stay. Tip yourself like you're tipping towards that back heel. And some of you are going to easily be able to grab onto your back heel. And in this position, it's a twist, it's a side bend, and it's a back bend. But keep your gaze going in the same direction as your chest instead of towards the sky. Imagine you could drag your right leg forward and your front leg back. Here we have some cross pattern support of your left shoulder tracking back towards your right glutes. To switch sides, we're going to do a lift and shift. So it looks like this. You come right back up, lift your back knee, shift yourself all the way over to the right side, and dock your left knee down on the ground. If you need extra padding here, you can fold up your mat so you have extra padding. You can also put a blanket underneath your knee if you need that. Bring your two hands in front of you. Rainbow your right arm over. Twist towards your right knee. Coming back up and over the way you came. 4 more. I lost count, so I'm going to do 1 more for good measure. Okay, here we are in this open armed position. Tilt your right hand back, and if you can't reach your heel, you are welcome to hover here. You'll get plenty out of this. If you can reach back and grab your heel, you're using that to help you connect your hand to the outer edge of your ankle, pressing your ankle into your hand and your hand into your ankle. Here you're retracting your right shoulder. At the same time, you're trying to drag your left leg forward and your right leg back. Good, tip yourself back up. Next up, we have quad sit backs. You'll probably need a little bit of extra padding underneath your knees. So feel free to either grab a blanket, a towel, or I like to fold my mat in half and then give it another little extra roll so my kneecaps have extra padding than the rest of my legs. Dock your knees onto that extra padding and have a block close. For these quadruped or these quadricep sit backs, the first thing you can do is curl your toes under, sandwich your hands onto the front of your thighs, and then as you lean back, it's one long line from the crown of your head to your knees, and then you come right back up. So that's stage one, and you're welcome to stay in stage one. Stage two, you can pick up a block and reach it in front of you. So now you have some counterweight as you lean back and come forward. Stage three, the arms stay the same, but you point your toes towards the wall behind you, sitting back and coming forward. Stage four, if you're going further with this, take your block behind you, squeeze your shoulders onto your back, and now as you go back and forth, there's a little bit more weight in the back, and you'll have to use a little more core strength to knit your ribs down. Let's do 5 of these. Kind of choose your own adventure. Next one, let's see if we can hold it. So this usually creates just an insane amount of trembling in my body. It might also create a tremendous amount of trembling in your body. Good, come on back up. Set your block down. Curl your toes under for round the world camels. Bring your left hand back to your heel, sweeping your right arm up and over. Set your hips back towards your heels. Right arm comes back as your left arm comes up and over. Back and forth. Come back to center and sit back into Virasana. Bring your hands palm face up on your thighs. Return your attention to your breath. Now let's start to unwind our practice, and this next move is called a fallen star. I'm going to turn towards you so you can see the modifications for this. But you'll come into plank pose, bending your left knee in towards your chest and shooting it off to the right there. Easing your hip either down to the mat and your forearms down to the ground, or some of you will find that putting a block underneath your hip makes the pose a little bit more accessible. For some of you, the block is actually going to make it more challenging. For others, the block is going to make it less challenging. So you really just have to play with what works for you and then choose what gives you the most support. You're pressing through the outer edge of the leg that's straight along the floor, and I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what my back leg is doing. The back leg stays curled under. The heel is reaching towards the wall behind you. To come out of the pose, prop yourself back up on your hands, lift your hips either off the floor or off the block, and step back to plank. Again, I'm going to turn towards you for the second side so you can see what that looks like. So from your plank position, bring your right knee in towards your chest, Shoot it off to the left and either make your way down onto the floor and your forearms, or take the block underneath your hip. Press through the outer edge of your right foot. Press through the toes of the back foot. Good. To come out of the pose, press your palms into the floor, lift your hips off of whatever you've got them on, and step back to plank. Bend your knees and make your way onto your back. Final Shavasana. And you are welcome to straighten your legs out to the corners of your mat, allowing your arms to open as well. This arm open or starfish position can be really relaxing, especially if you spend a lot of time at the computer. If you find that you want a little bit more for your hips, you're welcome to take 2 blocks for supported Baddha Konasana, propping up just underneath each thigh. And sometimes this is uncomfortable, the edge of the block pressing into the legs. So you can tip your blocks up on edge so that this big flat part is what's pressing against your thighs. And the little beveled edge here keeps them from slipping on the mat. From here, you're welcome to bring your arms out to goal posts, or again, like a big capital T. You can even sweep them slightly up and overhead like a capital Y. Finding the position that works best for you, and then closing your eyes. Relaxing your eyes back from your eyelids. Unknitting your brow. Allowing the muscles of your face and jaw to soften. Relaxing back from the world of expressing and doing. Softening through your chest, your arms, your forearms, and your hands. Relaxing any gripping from your belly. Any holding in your hips. Relaxing through the legs, the lower legs, and the feet. Allowing your body to take the shape of openness and receptivity. I am mending the tattered web of my heart, the world. By Jane Mara. I am mending the tattered web of my heart, the world, with plush emerald yarn of compassion and generosity. I darn holes torn of blame and judgment, with soft and sturdy strands of kindness and understanding. May I repair jagged rips, torn by despair and grief, with braided grasses of gratitude and deep purple reeds of acceptance of things as they are. And where anger and fear burned gaping holes, may I reweave with golden threads of forgiveness,
gleaming copper cords of courage, and strong silver strands of trust. In the mysterious and holy unfolding of what is greater than I can know, to strengthen this web of my heart, the world, I send out these healing threads to anyone who needs them, anyone at all in this whole world. And from this place of openness and receptivity, feel your body breathe, sensing your in-breath and your out-breath. And bringing little movements to the fingers, little movements to the toes. Draw your hands together. Begin to rub your palms together vigorously, creating warmth and heat between the palms of your own two hands. Then resting one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Inhale, breathing in this gesture of kindness, the warmth and gratitude of your own practice, your own breath and presence. Allow that to soak into your cell tissue. Then moving any props that you may have used for Shavasana out of the way and rolling onto your left side. Resting here for a moment before pressing yourself back up into a sitting position. And once you're upright, you're welcome to sit on a block or a blanket. And opening your arms to the sides of the mat, externally rotating. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead, sealing your palms and bringing them to your heart center. Allow your thumb to rest against your sternum, your fingers to radiate out from that space. And bow our hearts in reverence. Thanks for joining me in practice today. Namaste.